Bitcoin dominance is plummeting. The altcoin season headlines, they are emerging. This is alt season. And I will say this, the altcoins right now are looking like they are set up for a very, very powerful move that we've waited years for. But I do want to compose ourselves just a little bit. There are certain things that we have to wait for on the Bitcoin dominance chart, at least me, from a data-driven perspective, to get that real confirmation. All the while, Ethereum right now on the weekly, around 9 hours left. Such an important multi-year weekly close happening for Ethereum and ADA. Right around 86 to 87 cents, setting up its multi-month bull market move. Can ADA break the short-term resistance to trigger the move? Hit the subscribe, hit the like on the way in. If you're not in our intelligence system, please get in there. Huge sale going on still. Pinned comment below. 40% off our risk models, our exit planners, everything that is back there. So check us out if you're a macro investor and you want to plan your exit strategy for this cycle. So here's Bitcoin dominance. It is true. The headlines are definitely starting to emerge. Bitcoin's flat, alts are green. This is alt season. And I'm going to show you how powerful the altcoins are looking right now. But I do want to also show you kind of some areas that I personally am waiting for. Just a complete data-driven perspective here. It's very nice to see altcoins move. We want to see the continuation of this, not even just like for a week. We want to see a multi-month altcoin bull market, like a very powerful move. But very first things first, back here, if you remember in November, we got faked out. Much of the industry got faked out because Bitcoin dominance was starting to plummet, but it was this time frame of it too. This was like exactly when everybody was expecting it because we were following that 4-year cycle rule, and it was just time for altcoins to make the move, and they actually started breaking down. But notice this Bitcoin dominance support at the 50-week moving average. Really nice support, really nice bounce. Bitcoin dominance went higher. This was where much of the frustration for altcoins came into play for previous months. As you know, we're getting a little relief right now, but I really do want to see Bitcoin dominance fall below the 50-week moving average, and I want to see it happen like very powerfully so. I do want to just point out to you, and then I want to show you the monthly chart on this Bitcoin dominance chart. This is going to give you a really strong perspective of this might be really getting set up, but notice how we saw almost exact resistance at this lower high Fibonacci on the Bitcoin dominance chart. We've tracked this for so long. So from the last the last Bitcoin dominance high last cycle to altcoin season swing low last cycle, Bitcoin dominance has retraced all the way into our lower high Fibonacci range. This is such a phenomenal indicator, and it hit that 786 resistance area just so well. And now we're kind of bouncing down from that. But on the monthly chart, just look at this monthly chart, everybody. Look at this monthly chart. What I really want to show you is not even just the monthly candle. It's this. Look at the MACD. Just crazy momentum of the MACD, for years for Bitcoin dominance. But look at this histogram slowly trending down towards zero, potentially making its way into the red on the histogram. And we have this MACD line, if you look at this, just pivoting down in this move right now. Are we going to get a monthly MACD line crossing this red signal line, this histogram going red? This is an altcoin season bull indicator. So these are things that we have to kind of watch in the coming weeks. Even the next 1 to 2 weeks for Bitcoin dominance is very important, because if you go look at Bitcoin dominance, we're about to test this 50-week moving average. What happens there? Not to mention, it's the 618 line of this green lower high macro Fibonacci. Is Bitcoin dominance going to bounce this week, or can this be a week coming up after this candle closes where altcoins make another power move and take even more market share from Bitcoin? That's what I'm going to be watching. So I want to pivot and I want to start talking about Ethereum, and then we're going to look at Cardano, because Ethereum has such a big move happening right now on the weekly chart, and I'm very excited to talk about it. I do want to show you, there's new people watching the channel right now. For context, for months, really since March, I've been tracking this exact move. A very quick clip, and then we'll get into it. Check it out. The underdog story for Ethereum right now, and whales are accumulating, and we have this potential busted pattern in play. just watch out, everybody. And the reason I'm tracking this so much is because what this would mean for altcoin markets, and I'm going to probably do an altcoin video tomorrow. I meant to do it earlier today, but just too much going on. But what this would mean for altcoin markets if Ethereum gets this busted pattern in play, it's going to be explosive, everybody, especially at the confluence of all of these things we're talking about. So this is what I'm talking about. That's the move. Okay, so the busted pattern, this is it playing out. The reason why I'm really especially showing that clip again, and I keep showing it, that was from March, is because we are in the weekly move. We've made it so far. I mean, the busted pattern has played out so well. And I want to just give you a sense of how early we are too, while I'm talking about all of this. Here's the weekly candle. For me, I am waiting for a very nice weekly candle close above this trend line. Now, and I'm saying a nice weekly candle close. I don't know, maybe Ethereum in the next 9 hours closes right around here. That's not so convincing for me. But even if it does, it's a very good bullish first step, right? So closing above this trend line. But if we get even more separation, if Ethereum breaks this previous swing high all the way from December, that bull market, that kind of fake out that we had going into altcoin season back then before falling, if Ethereum breaks that area, this is such a macro bullish indicator for altcoins. Really, what I want to point to your attention is this. If you go look at the risk model for Ethereum, we are still sitting at around 53. We are in this territory from November-ish 2020. And even if you look at back here, September 2020, just that whole area is sitting at a 49 in terms of risk score. It's pre-bull market area for Ethereum. And if you go and you look at the monthly chart for Ethereum, look at this. Do you see what is about to happen on the monthly chart for Ethereum? MACD line approaching the signal line. We're about to turn green on this histogram for Ethereum on the monthly chart. And I should mention what was happening all the way back there when we had a very similar risk score, as we just noted, back in September, October, November, all in that area. What was about to happen? There it is. That MACD line getting ready to cross above the signal line. Histogram going to start turning green. It's the beginning of the altcoin bull market. This is a type of move that we are setting up right now. And the risk models in terms of altcoins are looking very similar. The risk models, I should say, they're not guarantees of anything, everybody, okay? But they're absolutely pulling in a lot of different data in terms of all of these markets. So it's something to pay attention to. But really, the monthly chart on Ethereum is looking so powerful. There's so much upside for Ethereum. It's insane. But really, on the shorter term, going into this evening, into this new week, I'm very curious to see what happens with this weekly candle. I mean, we could go through the rest of today. After I upload this video, we might get a wick of resistance at this trend line, this upper trend line of this multi-year triangle. So we pulled into it. And I think even in that video clip I showed, I kind of was speculating boom, and then we're retracing back down. So that's something I'm careful for, right? Maybe we don't have just another short-term nice week ahead and we're actually getting resistance coming down. I'm just prepared for it, but I'm waiting for confirmation, and that is a close above this trend line, number one, but even more so, separation to the upside would be huge for Ethereum. Let's go look at Cardano. So in terms of Cardano, here's what we're watching for. There's a lot going on, but I want to start with this. I posted this the other day. Last time Cardano risk was at this level of 43 at the confluence of similar business cycle, meaning, money printers about to come on, right? Interest rates about to come down. ADA was 10 cents. So think about that. Last cycle, around this type of moment, ADA was a 43 risk score. This was the other day, and 10 cents. Now it's 80 cents. And we're in a similar business cycle. We've popped up 1 point to around 44 on the risk model over here for Cardano. But again, going back here, it's very similar to Ethereum, what we just looked at, right? Here's 43, November 2020. We can go to 48, 49, August 2020, just all in here. There's that 40s area in terms of risk score for Cardano. That's what we're looking at. But notice where the price was. Look at that, 9 cents, 10 cents, 15 cents. So all in there is like that. I would just say, let's just call it 10 to 20 cents, similar risk score. Now we're at 80 cents with a similar risk score. So here's what we have going on Cardano. We noted the other day, I think in one of my recent videos, if you look at the MACD on the weekly for Cardano, and my MACD is all messed up right now. I'm not even going to really attempt to spend too much time opening this up. No, yes, I am. Let's just look at it. We're getting the MACD candle. I don't know why that happens. MACD green candle on the histogram, the MACD crossing above the signal line. Everybody, even if I actually real quick just go back to November 2020, we're looking at that similar type of risk area. Look at this. There it is. Weekly chart, MACD crossing signal line, green histogram, the beginning of Cardano's bull market. So that's number one. That's something we talked about the other day in the other day's video. But here's what is, I think, more telling in terms of this whole, well, where are we in Cardano's cycle? If you go to the monthly chart for Cardano and you look at this this monthly moving average line on Cardano on the monthly, we've just broken out of it. And really, anytime Cardano does this, it leads to a very powerful move. And I'm talking about anytime. This isn't something that happens a lot. Here's back here, the fake out bull market. Cardano had a massive move. Here's back here, exiting the bear market low. Cardano had a very massive move. And then here's back here. So only 3 other times we've gotten this move on the monthly above this purple RSI. And only 3 other times this has happened. It's always led to a powerful move. And one of those times, it led to a bull market move. And this is what the bull market move looked like, right? Back here, this is March 2020, and that's like the COVID swing low. It's making its move up. We're retracing, and then we're seeing support right around that October, November 2020 area. Similar risk score for Cardano. Similar area right here on the RSI. We're literally on the monthly right around the same type of RSI number on Cardano. That just shows you how much upside I'm talking about. We have basically all of this upside in play for Cardano, but we're not starting at 10 cents. We're starting here at 80 cents. This is the point that I'm trying to convey. When it comes to Cardano in the short term, though, there's a lot to talk about, and I kind of want to try and do it as quickly as possible. Number one, if things like Ethereum see resistance, right, at this trend line, and we're going to have altcoins retrace for a week. We get all hype maybe potentially on a Sunday going into a new week. It's going to be a great week. And then all of a sudden it's just like resistance and we have a red week. This happens. We have to be very careful for that. But if that happens for Cardano, here's what I'm watching. On the weekly chart, we're getting that separation from all these moving averages on the weekly. Is incredibly important, right? But with all that being said and done, we could at any given time test those areas, right? Especially as we're about to get like kind of this really nice just confluence of this 20 and the 50 week moving average. Maybe Cardano is going to start coming back down and testing that area, right? So the 70s are in play for Cardano. I just want to say that. But it's the upside that I also want to talk about. The upside, let me go to a daily chart. It's just way easier to kind of look at this, especially if we're looking at the short term. This is the upside target for the short term that I'm watching for Cardano. So it is around $1.15 to $1, but there's more to the story, and that's around $1.20 to $1.25. That's the bull market entry for Cardano. But what's this one? This one is important to me because this is kind of like, if I take this swing high back here to swing low of all the consolidation that we've done for months since December, it's the lower high Fibonacci. I would very much like to see Cardano approach that area and test it. Again, it's $1 to around $1.15. And that could be the next short-term target for Cardano before we actually do get some resistance. And the resistance could just be sideways. We could be seeing volatility back to the downsides, back to like 80, right? While all these moving averages are pulling up into Cardano, maybe Cardano is seeing resistance there and hitting these moving averages before going higher. Now, with that being said, what if Cardano breaks the Fibonacci? Well, now we have this type of move back here, but it's more important this time and probably more powerful this time, because if it's breaking this Fibonacci, then guess what it's immediately doing? Breaking the upper end of these bull market doors. And that bull market door area is this red rectangle that you see, not this one. Let me remove this one. This was like a completely different rectangle, but it's this red rectangle. The upper end of that area is a very macro resistance area that I call the bull market doors. It's ADA seeing resistance at this 20-week moving average going into the bear market. Breaking through that is the flippening, the true macro reversal of cycles for Cardano, where this is the beginning of Cardano getting its start to enter price discovery, to enter its bull market. That's where that is. So when we look at a daily chart, Cardano breaking this midterm green lower high Fibonacci almost immediately leads to testing that macro cycle trend line or resistance area, I should say, around $1.20 to $1.25. So that's what I'm watching on Cardano, though. But this is a great start, right? We see a little bit more upward momentum. This is exactly what we want to see. If you look at daily candles in just crypto bull moves, you get this like higher high, higher low vibe. Even with some red candles and volatility sprinkled throughout, you get this higher high, higher low vibe, and then it just keeps breaking out, right? And so that's what we're looking for here as we go into this new week, potentially for ADA, potential breakout. Just be careful, though. It's the beginning of a week. This could be a massive fake out, and we might need to come back down and test key moving averages again into the 70s before getting that next swing high. So that's all I'm going to say in terms of all of this. As you can see, I'm incredibly bullish, but there are certain things on a lot of these charts that I'm just waiting for, right? Whether that's the Bitcoin dominance chart, the Ethereum chart, or the Cardano charts. And that's what I'm going to be doing. I'm just going to be hanging out, waiting for these moves to happen, and we'll see what happens. Either way, everybody, one thing that I will say, let's just chill out. Let's just kind of compose ourselves. I think we're onto something here. I absolutely do. But we have to kind of give it a second and wait for some of these confirmations. At least that's what I do. That's just my approach to these cycles. If you want to use our risk models, we have a bunch back here. You can go onto our website and see all of the coins that we do have for risk models, but we have more in our exit planner. You can start planning your exits with our risk models and just setting alerts in our system so you're alerted when the scores start getting up there into those bull market territories. Check it out right now. We have 40% sale going on right now. And either way, if you're in there or you're not in there, I just appreciate you watching. I appreciate you cruising through. If you enjoy this content, please consider giving it a like, subscribe, turn notifications on. I'll see you in the next video. God bless.